Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are continuing our series of videos on how to set up a roofing rollformer. If your roofing rollformer is leaving rough cuts, tearing the panel or denting the seams, the problem is almost always in the cutting system. So the topic of today's video is how to adjust your shearing scissors to get a clean cut. We'll go step by step, starting with how the system is built, then what can actually be adjusted, then finally the steps that you can follow on your machine. Make sure to watch this video till the end, since we will also tell you how to save up to $10,000 on your roofing rollformer. I'm Oliver from Stan Rollforming Machines, and let's begin by understanding the cutting system on roofing rollformers. Before starting making any adjustments, it is important to understand what you're working with. For the purposes of today's video, we will be using the SS40 Pro roofing rollformer by Liberty Seamless that we supply on the Canadian market. Please note that even if your machine is different, the principles that we will be speaking about today will apply to most roofing rollformers. The shearing scissors are made up of three main parts: the frame, the blades, and the dies. The frame holds the entire cutting system in place. It determines how the panel enters and exits the cutting area, so its position directly affects whether the material flows smoothly or starts catching and deforming. Now, the blades are what actually perform the cut. But this is where things get interesting. Instead of one straight blade, this system uses multiple blades with different shapes. That's because a standing seam panel isn't flat. You have ribs, seams, and flat section. And each of those requires a slightly different cutting angle. And because this roofing rollformer can produce several different profiles, the blades are designed to be universal. Now let's look at the dies. Unlike the blades, the dies are specific to the panel profile. They are shaped to match the male and female sides of the panel. The dies on the female side of the panel, and sometimes on the male side as well, are also equipped with lower dies, which a lot of people tend to underestimate. This part sits underneath the panel and supports it during the cut. If the panel is not properly supported from below, the blade doesn't just cut, it pushes, bends, and tears the material. That's where most defects come from. So from the very beginning, you shouldn't just think of the dies as positioning tools, rather than structural support for the panel during the cut. Now when you understand the main components of the system, let's go into the adjustments that you can make on the shearing scissors. And first of all, it's the elevation of the entire frame. If this adjustment is off, the panel can get stuck at the lower part of the frame. Adjusting this is straightforward. You loosen the mounting bolts, then fine-tune the height using the support bolts underneath. Next, you can adjust the position of the blades. All blades are located close together, creating a continuous system. You can perform a lateral adjustment on this system by following three simple steps. Firstly, loosen the bolts that connect the blade system to the frame of the shearing scissors. Next, slide the blade system left or right as needed. And finally, secure the bolts. You can also interchange two blades or rotate them 180 degrees, which sometimes help to get a cleaner cut. Next, we have dies that accept the formed panel into the shearing system. The dies can be repositioned using the threaded holes and slotted mounts. This gives you fine control over how they sit relative to both the panel and the blades. The lower dies can also be adjusted laterally through oval-shaped holes. Once you understand these adjustment points, the rest of the process becomes way more logical and straightforward. Now let's go through the actual setup process from the beginning to the end. Start by turning on the machine and feeding your material into the rollformer. Bring the panel forward until it's close to the cutting system, but don't let it enter the blades just yet. At this point, stop the machine and disconnect the power. Now you can safely evaluate the alignment. Look at how the panel lines up with the frame. If it's too high or too low, adjust the height of the cutting system. If needed, you can use a support angle to guide the material and keep it stable. Once that's set, turn the machine back on and slowly advance the panel through the cutting area so that a few inches extend past the blades. Then stop the machine again and disconnect power before continuing. Now you can start working on the blade positioning. Align each blade with the section of the panel it is supposed to cut. A good rule to follow is that the most angled blade should engage the highest part of the panel, usually the standing seam. With the blades properly aligned, we can move on to installing the dies on the shearing scissors. Stop the machine again and disconnect power before continuing. Because the panel is already in place, you can now position the dies exactly where they need to be. This is where everything comes together. The blade must cut directly against the die or the lower die, and the panel must be fully supported from underneath. Usually this process will require some testing, so you will have to repeat it from 3 to 5 times before you actually get a good cut on your machine. Now the shearing scissors are completely adjusted and you get a good and clean looking cut from your roofing rollformer. As we are moving closer to the end of the video, as promised, we will speak about how to save some money on the shearing scissors for your roofing rollformer. Most roofing rollformers come with automated shearing scissors, which makes perfect sense for high volume production. However, at Stan Rollforming Machines, we are determined to find the best fit for our clients' businesses, which is why we offer different variations of roofing rollformers, including roofing rollformers with manual shearing scissors. The decision to go with manual shearing scissors can save you up to $10,000. If you are not running a full production all day, the manual system will still do the job reliably, while keeping the initial investment much lower. Manual shearing scissors still have the same frame, dies and blades. The difference is you will use a handle to cut the panels. A limit switch on the runout table will help you measure the length of each panel. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you found this information useful, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. If you're interested in roofing rollformers or any other machinery, feel free to visit our website stangroup.ca. And I will see you next time.